Good morning, everybody. Kenny Layman's here with Medicare Millennials, and this is the kickoff video for 2025. I am so glad to just get the content started for this year. Just real briefly, obviously get super busy with AEP. We made it through. I feel like it was a great success, but I've also been dealing with some health issues, some stomach and colon problems, so I feel like I'm finally coming on the other side of that. So glad to be with you guys again. Now, today I have a very special friend, fellow brother in Christ, a fellow entrepreneur, somebody I've learned a lot from in a lot of areas over the past few years since I've known him. And I'm going to have Rob introduce himself, but you've probably, man, you may know this guy for so many different names, from the Medicare minister to just Rob, or he's done a lot of different things in this industry. So I'll let him give himself just kind of a brief introduction. And then I'll tell you guys today's video is going to be action packed, and it's going to be probably get a lot of you excited. So stick around, let him introduce himself, and then I'll get into the meat and potatoes.
Absolutely. Well, Kenny, I'm excited to help you kick off this new year. Glad you're doing better, and love the fact that, yes, like you said, we are brothers in Christ. So my name is Rob Sevilla. My wife, Gina, and I own a Medicare and under 65 agency here in North Mississippi, and have been in the insurance industry for about 15 years. I started in the financial space. I've been in the FE space, and I just found Medicare a few years back, and it was my jam, if you will. And so we live here, like I said, in Mayberry, Mississippi is what I like to call it. And we get to help a lot of people. And some people do know me as the Medicare minister because in my former life, I'm a former pastor, church planner. I'm still an ordained minister. So it just was, I tell people that Medicare is now our ministry, right? And so we love being able to serve people and impact lives at the highest level. And definitely glad to be here today, Kenny.
Man, I'm glad you're on. I know you got a lot to bring the audience today. So listen, here's where we stand in the Medicare world. There's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Right,
Just like everywhere, every area of this broken world, Medicare
right,
is not immune. There is a
right,
lot of uncertainty. We've got a brand new political administration in office. The one before this didn't seem to love us as agents, right? Whoever was in charge of CMS the last few years didn't seem to put our interests first. Okay. And we won't
right.
go into all of that, but we know there's been a lot of changes that have, in some ways, made it a little bit more difficult for us independent agents. We don't know what that's going to look like going forward. This channel teaches a lot about fundamentals.
Mm,
So, to segue into what we're going to talk about today, I talk a lot about just good old fashioned leaving a magnet business card on your client's
right,
fridge. Buying maybe a direct mail lead instead of all the different types of online leads. The value of following up with the good clients so that and not chasing after the clients that are just going to buy from the next call center agent, right? So I've really spent a lot of time just helping people focus on the basics. Rob,
mhm,
the reality is the world's changing whether you want to change or not. And we've got to keep up, and we've got to know what's coming next.
right,
Just like I started this YouTube channel nearly 4 years ago. And although I don't sell insurance from it, this is how I reach other agents.
sure,
And in today's day and age, we're even reaching baby boomers through technology.
right,
So if you're a new agent out there, what we're going to talk about, not even either a new agent or an established agent that wants to go to the next level,
sure,
how can we use technology to do that right now, today, practically?
yeah.
Regardless if you don't have a ton of money and a ton of employees. And how are you doing that successfully?
Yeah, absolutely. Great questions. And I'll just show you this real quickly. Listen, I'm a refrigerator magnet guy too. My wife and I, we send this to all of our clients. So, I've heard it said this way, Kenny, all work works, right? So the old school, the new school, anything in between, it all works. But what I have found is that a lot more seniors, and this is statistically, it's not just me coming up with this, but you can look at statistics that more and more baby boomers, more and more seniors are shopping online, getting information online through the power of different social media platforms. My personal favorite is YouTube. A lot of it is because communication comes naturally to me. And here was the thing, Kenny. I was already teaching this Medicare content live anyways. I'm already teaching it in my office or at seminars. So why not use the power of YouTube, which is the second largest search engine on the planet, to Google, and Google owns YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they love YouTube and give YouTube a lot of priority in the search engines. So if I'm already teaching this content and I want to make myself look like an authority in this space, I thought to myself, why not use the power of video to educate the audience that is out there that needs help? Because you know just as well as I do, these people are getting 100 calls a day, if you will, and everybody and their brothers telling them, get this plan, get that plan, and they're scared, they're confused, they're overwhelmed. So I thought, if I'm already teaching it, the content, why don't I just bring my simplistic methodology to the power of YouTube, use the power of YouTube to educate and to help these seniors learn. And so I personally like YouTube for a couple of reasons. One is because it is the second largest search engine. Most people are going to go there to get information of how-tos, or, you know, a lot of entertainment as well, but there's a lot of how-to videos being looked up. And what I have found is that a lot of people are going to YouTube and our demo looking for Medicare answers because they are confused. They are overwhelmed. This person's saying this person's telling them to go this way. And so if you can be your most authentic self and transfer what I call that superpower to the power of video, you can truly impact your business by generating high intent leads, which ultimately turn into to turn into sales for your business.
So I would like to Iron Man that and then straw man that real quick.
Sure.
So in other words, I'm going to say what I think is beautiful about that. Then I'm going to say, let me pick that apart, what people might be skeptical of, and maybe
Okay.
you can answer that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
So kind
absolutely.
of the Iron Man to that is the reason that I never found like love for like you Facebook ads and stuff was because it was so much more of a volume play, right? Like
Right.
grab their attention at midnight when they're sleepy, they click on something. They're just it felt from my
Yeah.
experience almost like cold calling, just the new way of getting people to
Yes.
kind of answer your ad without a whole lot of personal interaction or intention, right? I
Yeah.
didn't like that. My whole strategy was to build relationships and sell you on me first because you can get
Sure.
the information elsewhere. So that would, but when you look at YouTube, it is the modern day version of a knee to knee, come to your kitchen table appointment.
Sure. Yeah.
So they see you, they hear you, they
Hmm.
feel you, they can practically smell you if they watch enough of your YouTube videos.
Right.
I like that. And I think if we're going to have to move into the modern age, this is something along the lines of YouTube is the most personal way to do that. So, okay, there you
Sure.
go. There's the good. Now, here's a skeptic. Here's an agent watching this video going, oh,
Yeah.
sounds great. Here's probably some of their questions. Number one, they're going to say, there's what about the big dogs that are already on YouTube, right? Like there's some
Right.
channels that get a million views that are selling Medicare information, right? I say selling, but you know, they're presenting
Right.
Medicare information. Number two, I, I don't have the money to go rent a professional studio. My laptop is it's kind of old. I really don't have the money to go buy like thousands of dollars worth of camera and audio equipment.
Sure.
And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So there's already too many good people on YouTube, and I don't have the
Right.
money or the expertise to even know how to put out a video. So this doesn't
Yeah.
apply to me, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
let you give that over to you. What do you
Yeah.
say?
I'll definitely say this is it's definitely not overly saturated. And here's why. I like to tell agents this, Kenny. There's an audience waiting for you to turn the camera on and be your most authentic self and do what you do every single day. This is a great method for those that have a lot of sweat equity and time equity, but maybe not a lot of money, because you don't have to have a fancy, expensive camera. I started just using I use an iMac here in our office. I just used my iMac camera. Or I would use my cell phone. A lot of the cell phones now, they have really good cameras on it. And you can go buy a little lapel mic for like 30 bucks off of Amazon that would work just as well. So you don't have to worry about spending and investing a lot of money. But if you have a lot of sweat equity and time equity, which most new agents do, you know that because we both have been there, right? This is a perfect way to get your message out. So let me say that again. Your audience is just waiting on you to turn the camera on and share this information. Now, are there some things that you need to do? Yes, because I like to tell people YouTube is both an art and a science. On the art side, it's being creative. It's learning how to storytell. It's learning how to communicate your message in an effective way. But there's a science part that I didn't know about for a long time. I just thought you turn the camera on and whatever happened, happened. And then I hired a YouTube coach simply because I wanted to learn the science behind it. So I can share 3 tips on that here in just a few minutes. In regards to, what was the second part? Did I answer both of those?
Well,
I want to make
you
sure.
briefly touched on the first part, which was that there's already a bunch of big YouTubers
Sure.
doing this. Like, there's no room for me.
Okay. So, and that goes back to there is a room for you. There's a science to that, but you know this, Kenny, even in our space, in the Medicare space, U65, I mean, we pretty much do everything, but I'll just use Medicare and under 65 here. Is this, how many times have you talked to somebody that goes, oh yeah, I talked to 3 or 4 other people, I didn't gel with them, right? And I get that. And there's some people that I'm not their flavor. I'm loud, I'm excited, I'm passionate, and some singers don't like that. So they may go down the street to someone else, and that's okay. It's the same thing on YouTube. Even though you have these bigger channels, your brand, right? Your message, the way that you communicate that, because that's our superpowers, being our most authentic self, walking in our truest identity. If you put that on camera, there is an audience out there waiting, and it doesn't matter how big the channels are. Last year, I think we did about 12 sales off of our YouTube channel. Not a lot, but really, I have been on YouTube for such a long time, but I really didn't get serious about it until about a year and a half ago. And then I hired a coach about a year ago, right? But there was people finding me. Now, that doesn't even include all the referrals that I gave away. I just gave away another T65 in Virginia recently because I'm not, somewhere up in Virginia area, maybe north of that, but I was not licensed there in that particular area, but people are finding me all the time. I have a friend of mine who does this, who gets about 1,000 leads a month off his YouTube platform. Now, it took him several years to get there, but imagine 1,000 leads coming in. We average probably about 10 to 12 a month coming through the power of YouTube. So I may not be setting the woods on fire, but those are 10 to 12 leads a month that are converting into sales,
Hmm.
right? Either instantly or down the road if I'm nurturing them correctly. Here's the point that I'm making. There is an audience. Once again, I sound like a broken record. There's an audience out there waiting on you just to turn the camera on. And I promise you, if you learn the science part of it with the art part, you can definitely get out there and compete and get your message out there.
Okay, so let's say that agents are watching this. They take your word for that. They already have the newest iPhone anyway. They go on Amazon. They buy a
Mm-hmm.
little whatever those are called, little microphone
Lapel.
that clips on their
Yeah.
shirt, plugs into their phone. They kind of put a script together, and they know how to teach. They've done some presentations before, so they just start putting content out there. Okay, great. Give us some practicality here
Okay.
as far as should they quit buying leads and do this every day, every second that they have time? Should they be expecting a 1 to 3 year time horizon for this to return? It's something they do on the side. Like, what is some practical tips on
Sure.
what to expect, but also what's the big picture for an
Sure.
agent or agency owner here? What are they
Yeah.
trying to accomplish?
Yeah. Great question. So let's put it at a very practical level. Okay. I started our Agape YouTube channel about a year and a half ago, right? Once again, communication wasn't a hard part, presenting wasn't a hard part. Former pastor, preacher, been doing that in the public eye for a long time. So that wasn't hard. I personally use like PowerPoint slides. Some people use a whiteboard behind them, or some people have an editor that helps put stuff up on the screen to kind of help people follow along. But let me answer the first question. No, I would not stop buying leads. I would not stop doing what's working. To me, this is just an add-on, right? All work works. So like here at our agency, I do an online webinar now, right? I do in-person stuff, but I do an online webinar, and I've been all in on that since August. So we're getting tons of leads, there, making sales every month. I'm also doing a senior fair coming up. We do a lot of grassroots marketing, food pantry. So all work works. We have our hands in about 6 or 7 things. But with YouTube, you may be an instant sensation, but most people that I have talked to, it took them about a good year, maybe a year and a half to 2 years before they got some really good momentum. When I started a year and a half ago, our Agape channel, that is, it took about 4 to 5 months before I started getting people to either email me, call me, reach out to me in some form or fashion. And although I was having a little bit of success, had some videos that kind of took off a little bit, I thought, wait a minute. I've had coaches in my Medicare space. I've had coaches in entrepreneurism. Why would I do anything different with YouTube? So I found a very affordable YouTube coach, went to him and said, hey, here's where I'm at. Coach me, teach me how to go to the next level, make this thing really work. And our very first video of working together, that video went viral and today almost has 112,000 views
That's
since
awesome.
August. Now, has every video went to that? No, but more of my videos are consistently getting traction on my channel because I wanted to collapse time, Kenny, right? I needed to invest to get, the channel to another level. So practicality is just start. I like to say take massive imperfect action. You're going to be horrible on video. We all are when we first start out until we get
I
that
still
rhythm
am.
going. Right. So we know that, and you have to go into that. But if you're already using materials to present, just transpose that to video. Use PowerPoint slides, use a whiteboard, whatever's convenient for you. You can't be me, I can't be you, right? This is where you truly impact people. And you know this, Kenny, even in our business offline, people know, like, and trust you. So you got to go being that truest Kenny. I got to be the truest Rob and impact lives that way. So from a practical level, iPhone, right? From a practical level, go on Amazon and buy a little clip-on lapel mic or a wireless mic. I literally just bought one for my son who's wanting to record some of his music. It was like 30 bucks. And then turn the camera on and start working. And here's the other beautiful thing. Here's a question that I get sometimes. Well, I'm not good at editing videos. Either am I. I'm a guy that delegates the details. I found a Philippine editor who edits my whole videos, Kenny, for like 30 bucks. He puts all the graphics in, makes all the transitions, makes them look pretty, if you will, right? And I'm able to do that. To me, it's worth, even if you just did 2 videos a month and spent 60 bucks getting somebody to invest in it. If one of those videos started bringing you in leads and it was online real estate to bring in leads every month, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and even if they weren't ready to do that yet, that you can do one shot, one take videos. I still
Sure.
do one take videos. So
Yep.
there is little to no editing on my videos. Now, as you grow, I probably hold myself back by
Sure.
not moving up that chain. But to get started, you can do a one take video, no problem, because
Absolutely.
the content is king. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a little tip
Right.
for people on YouTube. Video quality is important, audio quality is important,
Yeah.
graphics are important, but all of those just have to be acceptable first.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if those are next level quality, but the content you're giving out isn't valuable to people and they're not
Sure.
clicking
I
with it,
agree.
it doesn't matter, right? That's like saying, Kenny, I have the best presentation in the world, but you have no one or no way to give it to people, right? So
Right.
like, just remember that it's the message and the content and the value you bring is number one. So baseline iPhone level quality is good enough for now as long as the content is there. Then you can grow from there. I want to mention something, Rob. A lot of people that reach out to me and they say, "Hey Kenny, I want to get in this business." They either came
Sure.
from a call center or they want to do phone sales. And to be honest with you, for a long time I was like, "Man, I just don't know
Yeah.
exactly where to lead you." Because while I do some phone sales, a lot of what I do
Sure.
starts with personal interaction, either in person or from local referrals, and then funnels in, right? And I guess what I'm getting at is if you want to do phone sales, like truly, you're like, I just want to build a Medicare business where I work from home or my office and I talk to
Right,
people and I educate them.
right.
I can't imagine a better way to do that than through YouTube. I just can't
Yeah,
imagine a better way. There can't be a better way than
sure.
using YouTube. So I
Yeah,
think this speaks to every agent, small or that wants to build a call center.
yeah.
This is a huge avenue for them. I just wanted to throw that out there because I
Well,
get a
no,
lot of those requests.
it's a great point because, going back to one of your original questions that you had, is this is going to be a slow build for most people. Now, you may go out there and upload 500 videos this year, and that's okay, but it's not so much the quantity as it is the quality, right? There's an art and a science. I keep saying that because most people can get the art part right, but they forget the science part about it, that YouTube promotes certain videos. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the content that you just talked about. There's three things, and feel free to interrupt me, Kenny, as we talk about this real quickly. Is number one is the topic, right? You talked about the content. So the topic has to be viewer centric, not creator centric. You know this being in the same space, Medicare. How many conferences have we been to where this Medicare person gets up there and just wants to impress people with their Medicare knowledge, blah, blah, blah? I'm not hating, right? But I've been to plenty of those, but they don't impact the crowd whatsoever.
Mhm.
Okay. On YouTube, you have to be viewer centric. What are those people in your niche or niche, however you want to say it? What are they talking about? What are the questions that they're asking? One of the big barriers that I had early on is I was making videos from a Medicare advisor standpoint instead of really putting myself in the shoes of the people that I work with. What are the questions they asking? What are the questions that I'm getting when they come into the office or they're calling me on the phone or I'm getting on a Zoom? So number one is your topic. And if you don't learn how to make it viewer centric, your videos aren't going to go anywhere. And that's why you have a lot of people out there going, well, I've made like 50 videos and I haven't gone anywhere. I'm almost willing to bet they made content around what they wanted to say versus what the people were truly asking.
That's such a good nuance that I was well aware of that, but I hadn't
Yeah,
actually like stopped and thought about that as a rule. And that should be like if I was going to teach
sure,
a YouTube class based on my limited knowledge, I'd put that towards the top of the list of teaching somebody, right?
sure.
It's kind of rule number one of any public speaking. And all this is a way to speak publicly.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
all this is. So it's just a different way. Like you don't have to drive to a church or a
yeah,
auditorium or a
yeah.
library to get
All
to
online.
project in front of people. But what's rule number one of public speaking? People don't come to learn about what I care about and love. They listen to somebody speak publicly because it speaks into
Sure.
something that they find value in. It's
Yeah,
viewer, audience centric. So good. So
yeah.
well, hold on.
I lost you there. There you go. I think you're back now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. No, that's great because how many times have we all said we want to serve the people that we're called to at the highest level? Well, serving them at the highest level is not you creating content at what you think they need to hear. It's when I was pastoring in church planting, one of the things that I used to teach young sermon writers and young leaders and pastors and communicators was, are we preaching messages and answering questions that no one's asking,
Right.
right? This is the same thing on YouTube. You got to get the topic right. Like, let me give you an example. How many people out there are asking plan G or plan N? So, what if you created a video?
I lost you now. What in the world? You there? Yeah, my speaker's working. I lost you. Hello.
What about now?
All right, there you are.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't understand what's going on either.
All right, no big deal, man. My audience can skip right past. That's the power of YouTube. If that happened in live, it'd be a problem. But all
Yeah.
they have to do is fast forward a few seconds, and they didn't miss anything. So I had lost you for probably 10 seconds. So go ahead.
Okay. So back to the title part real quickly is a lot of people don't realize this is the science part. You see videos being thrown out there with just random titles in hopes that they're going to take off. Now, if you have an established channel, that may happen, but for people that are brand new, practically, you need to go research what other content creators are doing in your space. If I'm going to talk about Medicare Plan G and Plan N, the differences, the similarities, I'm going to go type that into YouTube search, and I'm going to go look at all the videos that have performed well. And I'm not going to copy their title necessarily, but I'm going to come up with a creative way to reframe that title, to use that title. Because if you already have existing content out there that's working, getting views, comments, why would I want to reinvent the wheel? We do the same thing in the natural, Kenny, right? When we first got started in the business and we saw other people do, we took bits and pieces of what other people that trained us and discipled us, we made it our own. It's the same thing on YouTube. Go find the titles to videos that you want to talk about, that the audience wants to hear about, and go duplicate that. And that really was a big game changer for me, because you can have great topic or content, have a crappy title, and your video's going nowhere. Right? So that title is very, very important.
No, that's a good point. And then also, if you're wondering what to come up with, like think on your appointments or the marketing you've already done on Facebook or direct mail or whatever. What always grabs people's attention, right? So I'll give you an example. The new Medicare Part D changes with the $2,000 max out of pocket now. People don't understand that. If you tell them, hey, Part D has changed for everyone, boom, they're paying attention. Another example, I'm giving y'all free stuff right here. I shouldn't even be telling y'all my secrets because this is marketing that's working. It's Part D changes. Here's another example. You want to focus on T65s? You want to know what I think probably the number one question is? It's between these two things. Penalties. Am I going to get a penalty? Because I actually am going to still work a little bit for 6 months or a year or 2 years after 65. And IRMA. So am I going to do I have some type of penalty? Again, back to penalty because I make more than some people do financially. Right. So it doesn't, my point is just that through the course of knowing this business, you know the things that people want to know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing on YouTube. I'm an expert at IRMA, income related Medicare adjustments. I know, don't get me wrong, I might have to go to Google and remind myself of something. But for the most part, I know how to answer those questions off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have something, you have expertise that people are asking questions about, then you know that's going to translate to some degree on YouTube right there.
Sure.
I'm not just going to talk about a benefit that I like that may not be grabbing people's attention. I need to focus on the thing that I can bring value that people are asking questions about, that they want to know about, which is exactly what you said. I was just driving that point home.
Well, no, and from a practical, if we want to make it super practical, go make a list of the top 10 things that your people are asking in this space and go create as much content around that as possible, right? That has to be viewer centric. The title, go find 10 videos that are doing well. You just simply type into YouTube, IRMA changes for 2025. What is the Part D, and what does an Inflation Reduction Act mean for my Part D, whatever, right? You can go and pick these topics and go find top videos that are performing well, go watch their videos, take notes and go, how can I repurpose that and me be the person? Don't copy them word for word, but repurpose that, me be my authentic true self and put it in the lingo that I would use to communicate. And the last thing is, because really the thumbnail and the title are the two most important things when it comes to YouTube, right? The thumbnail, like you said, from a marketing standpoint, everybody's scrolling. What makes you stop? What do you think makes those turning 65s or those baby boomers stop, right? So your thumbnail, in most cases, you don't want it to say the exact same thing that you have in your title, right? This is all comes from coaching. I'm just giving you some stuff that I've learned that's helped my channel really take off. And so, in a Medicare space, we can get away with it a little bit. We can say the same thing in our thumbnail and our title. But if we do not get the thumbnail right and the title right, no one's ever going to watch our content. It's just the bottom line. I didn't believe it either when I first started. And I thought, man, I'm making some really good videos. But because I had horrible titles and my thumbnails were not that good, no one was clicking on them until I had a coach come and audit my channel and say, hey, XYZ, don't do this anymore, do more of this. And that's when I began to have more consistent success. I was having some success, but more consistent success.
So just to kind of bring this point home, I think we've already been covering a lot of information. Let's say there's a few people out there that they buy it. They're all in. They're like, hey, I'm going to give this a go. They start making content. They do some of their own research, take some of the nuggets we've given them. They start putting out videos and they start getting a couple people want to reach out to them. What would be the simplest way if they don't have a full-time office staff to answer phone calls? Do they want this to go to a number that goes to a voicemail box, an email, a landing page? Like, how could they make this where a video that's still there 6 months later still has a way for those people to reach out?
Yeah, that's a great question. And let me just say this before I answer that. You want to make evergreen content that's just out there. You just have this online real estate out there on YouTube that's just promoting your content, targeting those answers to your audience. So I do a couple of things. I get some people that go to our website. So in my video description, I have some people that go fill out a contact form on our website. I have some people that just email me directly. But a lot of it is I take live calls here at my office. Or if you don't have an office and have assistants, of course, Kenny, you know this, we didn't all start there, right? This is years of putting in the sweat equity. And now we're blessed and be able to do a few more things and have people to answer the phones for us. But I have people that still call my cell phone. So I take live calls because what better way to take a hot call than, live, right?
Yep.
So for me, it's just depending how you want. Some people I know use Google Voice numbers. Some people set up numbers somewhere else. But in my opinion, if you can take the live call, you'll be surprised how many people will actually still call you today from your videos.
I'm just going to insert my opinion there. Don't use Google Voice.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing this business and you want your business at all to have to do with phone calls, like you're not going to be all grassroots marketing, you need a good VoIP service. Phone.com, Dialpad, I use personally. What's the one that everybody in the world uses?
I know some people use Ring Central.
Ring Central, that's the big one.
Yep.
Listen, you got to have a VoIP service. Okay.
Agreed.
Don't use the free one. I'm sorry. This is just, it's like you got to buy business cards or whatever. Like, I don't know what the good example is. This is just a cost of doing business. It's one of the costs you can't get away with. If you want to sell insurance over the phone, you have to have a reliable means for them to get a hold of you.
Yeah. And let me say that.
I wouldn't give out my personal cell phone number if I'm doing like a nationwide thing. Now, if I'm working locally, sure, just use the cell phone you already have, right? But you're going to need to get a VoIP number. It can receive messages, text messages, voicemails. And I agree with you. If you can take the calls, but also have a link to a good landing page where they can reach out. If it's midnight when they're watching the video, they just may fill out a contact form on your website.
No, that's a great, ending there. What you're saying is that my older stuff had cell phones on it because I was trying to rebuild. I was trying to get momentum in my business. Now we use our office number and we have two assistants that answer the phones. But let me say this too, Kenny, because you bring up a real good point, is if you're not willing to invest in your business, then you're really not all in. You got to invest in your business if you really want to do this at the highest level. Like Kenny said, get Ring Central or Dialpad or whoever, right? And I'm not an affiliate with any of those. I'm just telling you, you need to go get it done because you definitely want to be able to way to answer those phone calls a reliable way. And I know that when you're first starting out, you kind of want to be cheap, if you will. But trust me, the quicker you learn to cultivate the mindset that I'm willing to be all in and invest in my business, the greater the impact you'll make.
And we're not telling you to make dumb
No,
choices with your money here. Like this is a good piece of advice. Like go spend. It's like if somebody came to me and said that they only want to sell face to face, and I'd say dump every penny you have into a direct mail campaign. And I think
sure.
that would be wise advice. So
Yeah,
similarly, if you want to sell insurance over the phone, go ahead and get a dedicated VoIP professional number that does what you need it to do.
agreed.
And again, I know everybody doesn't have all the money in the world, but we get into this business because it's a fun way to make a great living. Like you can really bless people and educate people and make good money. Listen, nobody that's successful in their business snap their fingers. They had to sacrifice. I've already spent thousands of dollars this first month of the year setting myself up for success for the rest of the year. You may
Absolutely.
not be there yet. And there's other guys that are spending tens of thousands to set themselves up to make hundreds of thousands or millions this year, right? So there's different levels. But we do have to be willing to invest and sacrifice time, money, effort, and this is just one of those things. So, hey, Rob, wrap us up. Tell us any final thoughts, and then also if there's a way that anybody could reach you for any reason, or anything you want to share with the audience, please.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on. I hope that I was able to provide some value. Once again, all work works. This is just another stream, another pole out there in the pond or the lake, trying to get people on the hook, if you will. And here's the thing, if you're at a place where you want to hire a YouTube coach, Kenny, maybe someone is watching this today is a little bit further along, says, hey, I don't want to mess with all the details. I want to warp speed. Then they can reach out to me. I would just go to my Agape channel, Agape Insurance and Financial Group. You can type that into YouTube and you can find us there.
Agape, Agape.
Right. So they can find me there. I'm also on Facebook under Rob Sevilla. They can find me there as well. And I'd be more than happy to share my YouTube coach, my video editor. If you're in that position. If you're not, and you just say, hey, I'd like a little bit more coaching or a little bit more help to kind of get, steps A, B, C going, then just reach out to me and I'll do whatever I can to help.
Awesome. Any final thoughts there? Anything else you want to? This was a lot.
Yeah.
Like now I'm reevaluating my whole plan. So
let me just say this, Kenny, and I say this a lot of times when we're training agents, working with agents, don't quit. You're going to make it. I mean, you really are going to make it. I'm going to look in the camera. You're going to make it, right? You're going to make it. You just have to be consistent and you have to be all in and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes for your business to succeed. Because Kenny, I think you would agree with this. Two of the hardest challenges that I see agents have, especially new agents, is creating momentum in their business. This is just another way to create momentum. I'm not saying sell everything else and go YouTube. I'm saying use this, especially if you're a newer agent or don't have a lot going on. Maybe you've been in the business for a year or two and you're trying to create more momentum. This is just another way to do that.
So good. The whole Cody Askins 8% thing, right? I'm a big believer that the 8% that make it, 1% was just like some God-given talent or luck,
Sure.
right? Sure, there's that guy, right? That it's just like everything they do touches gold. The other 7% that make it, they just didn't quit. They just stuck around. They were that annoying guy that just wouldn't quit. I'm not leaving until this works. Like I'm not quitting. And I truly believe that's where the camp I fall in. I'm just staying with it. I'm sticking with it. And there'll be ups and downs. So thank you for that don't quit advice. I think people need to hear that. Yep.
Yeah. And I love the way John Maxwell says it. He says consistency compounds. So if you don't like what's compounded in your life the most, then go quit being consistent at that thing or those things. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So good. All right, Rob. Hey, listen, so glad that you were a part of my first video of the year. I hope we can get together. Maybe I can come on and see you. You can reach Rob on Facebook, Rob Sevilla, Sevilla, or more importantly, go like his YouTube channel, Agape Insurance. Won't be hard to find because his thumbnails are going to make it really easy for you to find him when you search Agape Insurance. So, All right, brother, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thanks, man.